biohacking, performance, mastery, mindset, holistic health. This is a show about getting better every single day. I'm on a mission, guys, to help over 1 million people get healthy and lose weight. Why? Because when you lose weight and get healthy, you have higher self-esteem. You have more self-confidence. And that person goes out and crushes their goals and starts living the highest version of themselves, and then they have way more impact on the world. All right, what's up, guys? What day is it? Happy Tuesday. I am super excited for today's guest. I've got Risa Groux. She is a functional nutritionist. She just finished writing an amazing book called FOODFRAME. Diet is a 4-letter word. And what she uncovers there is she really gives you the blueprint, the guide in how to eat based on your health status. So I'm really excited to bring her on and get into this topic. Risa, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome to have you here. Thanks for making some time. So, for people that don't know you personally, like, can you kind of just tell us all a little bit about your background and maybe like how you got on this health journey? I know for me, it was, there's a lot of reasons, but what got you down this path?
Yeah, so I am a functional nutritionist, which means I work with functional medicine guidelines, functional nutrition guidelines, and we're basically based on 4 pillars. So the first thing we do is we look at root causes. Why is it that I'm having these headaches? Or why is it that my cholesterol is high? Why is it that I have anxiety or indigestion, right? We're looking at why. We're not a pill for nil kind of paradigm. The second thing that we do, and then I do in my office, is I look for prevention. So our numbers are a little bit narrower, our ranges, and they don't move like other labs will reassess every quarter and they'll move their ranges. So I don't move the ranges. And then the third thing is I consider the body one whole interconnective unit so that everything has to do with each other, right? It's not just these appendages or these organs or these glands and go to those specialists. It's the whole body interconnects. And the fourth pillar is that we're looking at data. I'm not really good at playing darts with the lights off and I cannot see the target. So I'm much better when I have the data. So I order full labs, blood work with all 4 markers of blood sugar, all 9 markers of thyroid, all inflammation markers, on and on and on. So we have a really good idea of what your health status is. And then I order a pretty extensive stool test to find out what's going on inside. Do we have some pathogens? How is our good gut bacteria? What's happening with our bad gut bacteria? Do we have major invaders? So I get a real good idea. And I've been doing this for a long time and I love what I do because I watch people heal and I got motivated to do this. I've always been interested in health and nutrition. I don't know why, maybe because I grew up in a house where everybody was always trying to lose that 5 or 10 pounds and everybody was on a diet and they were always talking about foods that were fattening and foods that were good and foods that were bad. And I'm like, I don't get that. As a kid, you're like, well, what's the difference? So I was always fascinated by it. And I just followed my passions and I ended up having Hashimoto's, which is autoimmune attacks when you have antibodies attacking your thyroid. I'm about 10 points away from reversing it and I'm just at my lab, so I can't wait. I'm hoping that it's fully gone now. So that really put some fuel in my fire, and I just wanted to help people reverse their autoimmune and or be the best that they can be. I love your intro. It's high energy and it gets exactly what we're fully aligned because I just want people to be the best that they can be, right? And why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want to strive for your A game every day?
Yeah. 100%. I love that. I love that you're a holistic and functional nutritionist. I was just talking to a client the other day and they were saying, yeah, I went to this nutritionist and they just basically gave me the food pyramid. and they're like, but that's never worked. And it hasn't worked for me now. And it's never worked for me in the past. And I just love there's a difference, right? There's a difference in like the programming and some of the things we
do. One size does not fit all.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you really quick too, I've heard you mention this. I don't want to misquote you, but I want to make sure I get it in the right context. But I believe you said you fully believe that if the body is given the right nutrition, it can heal on its own. Now, I am in alignment with that as well. I think if you give the body the right input, man, anything's possible. It can heal. But do you really think without, and I guess I know you believe in detox and stuff. So I guess what I was going to say is, do you believe only nutrition alone can be the sole factor, or do you think, hey, we do need maybe some other things as well?
Absolutely. So, I always say carrots are not going to solve all your problems, right? That's
Yeah.
just not how it goes, right? But the food that we eat is either going to help us or hinder us. So, you're either going to perpetuate your inflammation or your gut health, or you're going to heal it, right? So, if that food matters, what we eat absolutely matters. It's a huge contributor. Now, when people walk into my office, and I get pretty sick people, but they walk into my office, they've got a lot of joint pain, they've got a lot of fatigue, a lot of stomach issues. Those people, when I change their food, I only change their food that first week. I put them on my detox and I give them some bumpers as far as we take out the gluten, we take out the dairy, we take out the alcohol, processed foods, sugars, dyes, chemicals. And once we do that, it's so interesting to me because so many people, most of their symptoms are gone just in that 2-week period, just by changing the diet, right? I haven't given them much supplementation except for maybe some B vitamins and D vitamins. And once we get a good picture, when we get the labs back and we say, oh, we've got some blood sugar dysregulation, or we've got thyroid issues, or we've got a viral pattern, or we can support that through supplementation, but we continue to supplement that or feed that or heal it through food.
Yeah. Awesome. And you mentioned labs. I'm a big believer in labs. And I think if you get the data, you get the labs, like, hey, there it is. There's no discounting that. We can say, hey, we think it's this, we think it's that. But I noticed, when you wrote your book, you provide users, hey, there's kind of like a quiz, and there's like this rubric that they can use to basically kind of determine, based on where they're at right now in their life, this is probably the best diet, or there's no other better word right now than diet, but this is the best form of nutrition and lifestyle probably for them. How did you kind of come up with this over the years? And do you feel like, man, you've gotten pretty good at, without even running a lab, like 80% or 90%, you could probably guess what I need if I were to come to you without even running a lab?
Yeah, exactly. So I've been doing this for so many years. And when I first started, people would come into my office and I would say, oh, let's eat just like this. And everybody got the same script, basically. This is how we eat, right? This is going to lower your inflammation. This is going to increase your good gut health, which are the two foundational issues that can optimize or hinder your health. And so I realized that not everybody's thriving, right? And then we come out with all these great new books, and they're great. We read about all these different types of things, and we go, oh, let's try that. And people try it. And some people do extremely well with that program, and some people don't. And why is that? So I started to figure out that not everybody should be eating exactly the same, not just because of our genetics, but because of our health status. So if you have blood sugar dysregulation, you're going to be very different than the nutritional requirements than somebody who's got IBS, right? We still need to eat whole foods, right? I'm not going to ever recommend processed foods, but somebody with IBS or SIBO, small intestinal bacteria overgrowth, if they've got chronic bloating and chronic diarrhea or chronic constipation, I would not give these people a lot of prebiotics like garlic and onions and artichokes and asparagus. Those are things that are going to make them worse. They're going to bloat and they're going to feel horrible. So every person needs to be eating according to their health status, is what I came up with years ago. And all of a sudden I started getting like basically 100% success rate, right? If you have autoimmunity, we know that you have these antibodies that just finds a gland or a tissue or an organ in which to attack. But you're in the state of inflammation. You're in a cytokine storm. So how do we alleviate that inflammation? How do we put that fire out? Well, in allopathic conventional medicine, they're going to give you a little squirt gun, maybe, right? They're going to give you a pill and go, oh, maybe this will help. And, you're going to live with this. But, I'm getting at the fire hose, and we do that through food, right? Predominantly through food, but also the supplementation that I do is nutrition. It's not anything synthetic or chemicals, but it's more concentrated nutrition. So we can do all this through nutrition.
Yeah. Love that. And then in your book, you actually outlined the 6 most popular, mainstream diets that we all know of. You list them out: paleo, keto, the autoimmune, the AIP protocol, vegan, low FODMAP, and then low lectin. What in general, I mean, that's a lot. That's 6 diets, but you obviously felt like these are probably the most important. And we were talking offline, like, hey, how come you didn't mention carnivore? I mean, hey, we could just go on and on, but What what are some of the benefits or maybe some of the drawbacks that you see in all of these diets?
So, there's benefits and drawbacks to almost all of them, but not entirely all of them. So let's break some down here. So keto, I know keto is all the rage. It's been the rage for a few years, and it is great. It's really great for people it works with. Some people have a hard time getting into ketosis, me being one of them. And but there's plenty of people who have a difficulty. Mostly women have a hard time getting into the state of ketosis. Secondly, if you have any fat malabsorption, so I look at GGT on a blood lab, because I'm looking to see how sludgy and gooey your bile is that your gallbladder is releasing, so that you can digest fats. If you've got troubles digesting fats, metabolizing fats, keto is not for you. If you've had your gallbladder removed, I wouldn't recommend it for you. If you are highly stressed, you've got a lot of cortisol, probably not going to work for you. And if you're a man with none of those things, you're going to do great, right? So that's good. And the drawback of keto is that it is, 75 to 85% of your calories, your food intake is in fat. And it's great because you're switching your fuel source from carbohydrates to fat. And it's great. And there's all this research saying that it's great for your heart and all that stuff. I don't particularly recommend it longer than 3 months. But the challenge for keto is you're not really getting a lot of fiber, because most fiber sources have carbohydrates. So you really have to watch your carbs. And so paleo is probably one that I recommend has the broadest appeal. There's really no drawbacks to paleo. It's how I eat, and it's how I would say most people do in my office that I work with, or it is the landing after you've already cleaned up, or you've already reversed autoimmune, or you've already treated the SIBO or IBS. Then paleo is pretty mainstream. So that is great for everybody. Again, it decreases your systemic inflammation, it increases your gut health, it stabilizes blood sugars. It's really easy to travel with. It's really easy to eat and maintain. And then
I did your quiz, and that's what it recommended for me, by the
way.
Great.
Yeah. See, it's great. And it's easy. I find it to be easy.
I think so. Yeah, I agree.
It's got versatility and variety. And then vegetarian is, I'm not a huge fan of vegetarian for most people. I am a former vegan myself. And I just realized that when I was eating vegetarian and vegan, I was, your protein sources are basically plant beans. Your plant proteins are beans, nuts, seeds, and grains. And my blood sugars kept increasing and increasing. And I wasn't eating any sugar at all, like none. And I wasn't eating pastas and breads, but I was eating a lot of beans. And my blood sugars just kept increasing. So then there's the gene mutation MTHFR that I test people for. And if you have that gene mutation, you need your B12 if you have that allele from you need it from food, but you have to supplement. So it's not the diet type I would recommend for everyone.
Yeah.
And then low FODMAP is for people. FODMAP is an acronym. It stands for fermented oligosaccharides, disaccharides, monosaccharides, and polyols. And in plain English, that means certain types of carbohydrates that can cause methane gas production. So basically, they ferment in your gut, and they absorb water, so it causes lots of bloating. So those are the prebiotic foods that I was mentioning before. These are for people with IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, irritable bowel disease, and SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So SIBO is so underdiagnosed, and you really need to I do a stool test to determine if somebody has SIBO, because it's pretty accurate that way. And then low lectin is definitely a great option for people with autoimmune, or people who just want to decrease their systemic inflammation. And it removes the lectins. Those are the plant protective coating on a germ or seed or a nut. And they will, it's very hard to break down. And so it does cause a lot of inflammation. So this is great for anybody with autoimmune, and great for anybody with, or anybody could really do it. It's a little restrictive, but you can do it lifelong. So it's great. Nightshades are really high in lectins. And then what did we not get? An AIP, Autoimmune Protocol. And that's a really good, that's a 30 to 90 days. Also, low FODMAP is also an elimination diet as well, 30 to 90 days. The stricter you are at the beginning, the better off you'll be. And with Autoimmune Protocol, it's pretty strict. It takes paleo and then removes a few things like eggs and nuts and seeds. And it's pretty strict. So no alcohol, no coffee, things like that. But it really does quell the inflammation with somebody with autoimmune. And I
Yeah.
have found that doing this with a person who has that health status has been extraordinarily successful. And I intentionally did not do the carnivore diet or the Mediterranean diet or some other popular diet types because I don't really see a tremendous amount of long-term success in my office with them.
Mm.
And I don't think they have a greater broad appeal. So those are typically the 6 diet types that I would recommend with somebody I'm working with.
Yeah. Awesome stuff. And I mean, I think all of these diets, other than really paleo, I think just because that's kind of almost a lifestyle in general, but like even ketogenic and some of these, I don't think people, I think people and clients, and maybe you would agree or maybe not, but when you're so dogmatic about how you have to live, like I'm keto and I'm carnivore, I just feel like it really restricts you. And I think, hey, I love all these diets, all the ones you have. I think they're great. I mean, temporarily, like maybe we should go in and out of these throughout periods of the year. But to say like I'm low lectin for the rest of my, well, and maybe you need to be low lectin based on some of your autoimmunities, but to say like I have to be that way for the rest of my life, I just think, I don't know. I think it just is ridiculous.
I agree. I'm totally with you.
Yeah. I work with a lot of weight loss clients, and I think you do too. Obviously we can't say, hey, Joel, like this is the diet you have to, because we're all different. There's that bio individuality. But I'm just curious, like, what have you seen just clinically and anecdotally, just from your clients over the years? Like, what has been like something that's been very successful that you've seen, and maybe some of the things that comes up for those kind of clients and that works just really well for them?
So one of the things that I would say the mystery of weight loss, the elusive weight loss, is I don't think people realize that when there is a fire in the basement, a raging fire, I mean, you've got flames coming, this house is coming down. When we ask the body, when it's in a state of inflammation like that, when there's a fire, if you want to lose weight, it's like asking somebody when there's a fire in your basement, can you help me change the light bulb on the second floor? And you're like, what? I've got this raging fire. I'm calling the fire department and you want me to what? So when we are in a state of urgency or emergency or a fire's going on, we hold on to every resource. So when somebody is trying to lose weight and it's not happening, you first have to check the fire, right? Do we have systemic inflammation? Do we have a virus? Do we have something that's going on that is not allowing the body to let it go? But there's 5 reasons why we do not lose weight, right? Or gain weight. One is blood sugar dysregulation. And I know when you go to an allopathic conventional doctor, they're going to test you for glucose. They might test you for hemoglobin A1C, which will determine if you're pre-diabetic or diabetic. But I test for insulin and C-peptide to determine if you're insulin resistant. Because if you can't get that glucose into the cell, that means you're insulin resistant, your receptors are damaged. Then you're just going to park it in fat cells and fat tissues, right? You're just going to collect it. You're going to keep it for storage. So look at all your blood work. So blood sugar dysregulation is a huge one. The second one is thyroid dysregulation. And again, our conventional medicine community lets us down here again, because they usually just test us for TSH, our thyroid stimulating hormone, which is produced in our pituitary, but it doesn't usually test. We might get 1 or 2 other markers in the thyroid, but there's 9 markers. Right? There's your free available hormone, your free T3. That's the star of the show. Can you burn? So most labs come in conventional medicine without that. So I test for that for sure. And then are you reversing? Is your cortisol? Are you under so much stress that you're reversing it? Or do you have so much hormone imbalance, sex hormone imbalance, that you are competing for that thyroid site and your hormones are winning? So, and then do you have antibodies? Do you have that fire, right? So we look at those. So blood sugar dysregulation, thyroid dysregulation, cortisol, as I mentioned, that's your stress hormone. And if you have high levels continuously of cortisol or low levels, yeah, there's no way you're going to lose much weight, right? The fourth one is sex hormone imbalance. So if you are going through menopause, or if you've got low testosterone, or whatever it is that you are in balance, you're going to have a hard time losing weight. And the fifth one is an overload of toxins. So if you have an overload of toxins, you need to clean out the body. And yes, you'll lose weight for sure when you do my detox, but it's not a weight loss program, it's a wellness program. And weight loss is a side effect of wellness. So I'm always focusing on wellness. The body will release it when it's ready. I can give you a million examples of people who couldn't lose weight, came in to see me. We figured out where the fire was. If you were riddled with pathogens or parasites or something, that and then once we resolve that, then the body starts letting go of the resources it doesn't need.
I love that. Yeah, I always tell people, we're not here to lose weight. We're here to get you healthy, because a healthy body can't be overweight, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, I love what you said there. I'm curious too, like in your book, what, and all your research and everything that you put into this, what surprised you the most? Was there anything that just jumped out at you? You're like, wow, I didn't really expect that, or didn't know that, or wow, that actually, I didn't know that, but that coincides with everything I see in my practice.
So I would say that the one thing that surprised me was when I did a lot of research on toxins. I was absolutely floored with how many toxins the FDA has approved for us to use, and the newest number crushes me to say this, but it's the true new number. It's 86,000 chemicals have been approved by the FDA for us to use, and so many of them aren't even tested, and it's way more than any other country. We just got new information a couple weeks ago that the EU, that Europe had banned 1,600 chemicals for their cosmetics. They cannot use them in any of their cosmetic production, and the US banned 11. So it's really, we are just bombarded with toxins. So it's really important to detoxify and be very conscious of what you're putting in your body, and make sure, we're not putting chemicals in day and day out. It's really, really important.
Yeah, I love what you're saying, and I try to tell clients that too. And sometimes it's really difficult to explain that, and I try to, God, I try to just say, guys, listen. And from a high level, I try to break it down, but like your liver has to process all these toxins, and your liver, your gallbladder, people don't understand, but you wonder why you have low T, or maybe estrogen problems. It all starts in these organs. And again, sometimes the functional medicine docs, and don't get me wrong, I love this anti-aging and longevity medicine that we're getting into with hormone replacement. I think it's fantastic, but I just don't think it's always the first place to go. And people just don't understand that sometimes when I'm trying to explain it to them, like this importance that you're talking about, this detox and how these hormones, that might be the root cause of your problems, or this toxicity that you're talking about. So yeah.
Right. And the liver will store excess estrogen. So when you bind it with, with a good detox, my mind detox will do that. It'll take out excess estrogen. And I cannot tell you how many women will say to me, I didn't even know my period was coming anymore. I used to have all these bad cramps and all these horror. I'd have to take the day off. And now they're like, fine. Well, because we balanced it out. We took out all the excess you were storing. And so people don't realize it. It's amazing to me how much people suffer.
Yeah.
See me, they could have chronic diarrhea for 8 years and they live with it. Just and headaches and discomfort and fatigue and anxiety. It's amazing to me what people will live with, but you don't have to.
Yeah. Risa, any I'm sure you have tons, but I'm just curious, is there any testimonial or just a client win that just stands out to you recently, kind of using this framework from the FOODFRAME diet? And maybe it's just, again, like something just so simple, right? We talk about, Joel, all I did was just change the nutrition based on her body type or his body type, and this person got better.
Well, I have thousands, but one that's probably a great story is I worked with the professional golfer Freddie Couples, and he was famous for back pain. I mean, everybody knew he had back pain. He was, carted off these courses from time to time when he was in excruciating pain. And he came to me and wanted to lose 20 pounds before the Masters. And so I said, well, no problem with the 20 pounds. We'll do that. But tell me about the back pain. So he went on and on and on. I said, what are the surgeries? He says, oh, no surgeries. And I said, you don't have any physical like surgeries? No. So I said, has anybody ever checked your inflammation? He said, I don't think so. And he was going to amazing doctors just all over the world. He would go to these doctors. He would travel with his physical therapist. And so we looked at his inflammation markers and they were just through the roof. Now the guy lives on golf courses, right? So
he's a professional athlete. This guy is a high powered professional athlete, and I love what you're saying. And no one's checked his inflammation level. So yeah, this is amazing. Go on. Yeah.
Right. And he lives on golf courses that are treated with chemicals, right? So he's breathing them in. He works on golf courses. So he is just constantly have this toxin. And he had major smell sensitivity, which is, he just was overloaded with toxins. So he would get into an Uber and he'd have to, cover his nose, or he'd get chronic headaches, and he was having all kinds of issues. So we found out his inflammation. I put him on my detox, and when he first walked in the door, I said, Freddie, what's your number? 10 being the excruciating. He said, I'm a 7 or an 8 pretty much every day. And then the next week he came in, he was a 4. And then every time I've ever seen him thereafter, I go, Freddie, what's your number? A 0 or a 1 if I pick up a golf club. So it's pretty awesome. Good. I love that story. And then I just have to do one quick, really funny, great story. But I started working with this woman a few months ago. She came in 77 years old and in just full body inflammation, couldn't walk, had to park at the first spot, the handicap, and get the cart to be in the market because she just couldn't walk. She was in so much body physical pain, just joint pain. And so I broke down that first day, what are you eating? And so she kept saying, a tall glass of milk. And I said, do you have that 3 times a day? And she said, yeah. I said, cow's milk, regular cow? Oh yeah. Low fat. And I said, oh, okay. So 3 times a day. I go, how long have you been doing this? She goes, 77 years. Yeah. So I said, let's just do one thing this week. I didn't even put her on my detox. I just said, let's do one thing. Let's just take out the milk. No dairy at all. She came in the next 10 days later. She came in, she goes, I don't have any joint pain at all. She was in yesterday. She walks now and she works in the garden all day. I mean, it's really amazing when you look, why am I having joint pain, right? She was going to the doctor. They were giving her, all these anti-inflammatories, and they diagnosed her with fibromyalgia. And so you just, if something's wrong, right? If you think something's wrong, look for the root cause, find it.
Yeah. The great thing about that story too is, when we get in these pattern loops, we just don't know. Sometimes 77 years, we've been doing the same thing. And we think, come on, how could that be my issue? Right. And it was right there all along. So exactly. I love that. And sometimes you need a coach, you need someone to just provide that perspective. And that's why I have coaches. I know you have coaches, and we just want to be better. So that's awesome. Exactly. Any supplements, or is there anything that you see kind of across the board? Like, hey, you know what? Most people, if I had to, and again, we can't recommend for everybody, but just kind of across the board, like the top 1 to maybe 5 supplements that you see is pretty reoccurring in a lot of your patients and clients.
Everyone I work with is on my D3 Ultra. It's got vitamin K for absorption, but vitamin D is critically important, right? We have a D receptor site in every cell in the body. It's critical. We will not make bone without vitamin D. It's anti-cancer. It's anti-aging. It helps gut, brain, heart, thyroid, huge for thyroid. It helps everything. So vitamin D is huge, can also be a trigger for autoimmune disease. So it's really important. And everybody who walks in my office has usually some degree of deficiency. Most people have a lot. So vitamin D is, everybody's getting that. And we always check the lab to make sure we're not overdosing it. And then vitamin B, my B Ultra as well, is pretty much everybody's on. B vitamins help RNA, DNA. When we're stressed, we eat all of our B vitamins in our intestinal lining. So it's really, really, really important. Anybody with anxiety, alcohol, coffee, a lot of prescription medications, I would say most block B vitamin absorption. And again, if you have that MTHFR mutation, you've got to take B vitamins in methylcobalamin form. So my B Ultra is that. Those are the 2 pretty much everybody in my office is getting. And if you have inflammation, or if you have autoimmune, I have my Fab 5 for autoimmune. That is vitamin D, Omega Max, those omega-3 fatty acids, my Turmeric Max, because turmeric is really, really, really effective for inflammation. Resveratrol, I have it with quercetin, which is really great also for inflammation. And glutathione. Glutathione is our master antioxidant. It helps protect us against anybody who wants to come in and create disease, any oxidative stress. And so I take all of those personally myself every single day. And if you've got inflammation, those are the Fab 5 that you should be doing for sure.
I love it. The Fab 5. I didn't even know. I said 1 to 5 and you already had it. The Fab 5. Yeah. That's beautiful. Awesome. I want to wrap things up, but I want to just kind of go into some lightning round questions if you're a game for that. And then we'll wrap things up. But before I do, is there anything I didn't ask you that you wish I had?
Thyroid is a really big thing, and a lot of people suffer from thyroid. So I really encourage people to get their thyroid fully checked, all 9 markers of the thyroid, just to really find out what those root causes are, because or what's happening in the thyroid, because so many times they go to the doctor, they give them Synthroid, it's a T4 synthetic. A lot of times it doesn't work. And they're hoping that you're converting that inactive thyroid hormone to an active thyroid hormone. And so it is really important just to know, get your numbers and find out. It's not just a marker of TSH. You need to have the whole story.
Yeah, beautiful. It looks like you're launching a thyroid course, right?
That's right. I just released my Achieving Optimal Thyroid Health, and I'm super proud of it. I've put everything I know into that course, and I know a lot about thyroid, and I can tell you what to eat, what not to eat, what supplements, what not, what to do, what not to do, all the food that you need to eat. And then it really breaks down with Hashimoto's, Graves' disease, nodules, thyroidectomy, hypothyroid, hyperthyroid, we talk about chemicals. I mean, it's a whole thing. So I'm super happy about it, because it's going to help so many people.
Yeah, that's exciting. Really cool stuff. Awesome. All right. Well, let's jump into some lightning round questions. And by the way, these are lightning round, but they don't have to be like a quick, witty response. Take your time. Okay. I'm curious, what do you think are some choices that you made that made you who you are today?
Wow, what a great question. Choices that I made to make me who I am today.
Or maybe a choice. It doesn't have to be choices, but
yeah.
A choice.
I think the choice that I made to be healthy, I really valued my health. And I think when you have that as a value, that you have to put the work around it, right? I think any of your values, you have to put a work around that. So I think going down that trail, because I used to be in sports marketing, and I was reading nutrition books on the side, and I was just always interested in that. So I think that has made me so much more knowledgeable and able to understand that it's struggle. It's a struggle for everybody. I don't care what you look like. It's a struggle for everybody. We have this really complex relationship with food, and our childhood brought a lot of stuff for us. And then as adults, and then as women, it's beauty and our weight is our currency. So it's a struggle for a lot of people. So I think I've been, that commitment I made to my health has really benefited a lot of people.
Yeah. Well said. I love that. Who is, you are such a force in the health and wellness world. Who's someone that inspires you, or who's someone that you follow?
I love Dr. Mark Hyman. I just think he gets it. He's a voice, and he really talks about the root causes constantly, and he talks about functional medicine. And I love that he's an MD, because he understands the conventional paradigm, and he understands that we cannot do the pill for an ill. So he's somebody that I greatly respect, and he does a lot of research, and I think he's a rock star.
Yeah, he's a good one. Any books other than, of course, we already know your book, but any books that you'd recommend that someone read? I mean, I'm a big reader, and is there like a top 1 to 3 that just jump out at you, other than the FOODFRAME, of course?
Yes. The Mark Hyman wrote a book called The Food Fix, which is actually really good. And it's about our food supply and how corrupt it is, and how just how unclean it is. So that's a really good book. The Autoimmune Fix by Dr. Tom O'Brien. I love that guy also. He's really all about gluten and the effects of gluten, and how it affects autoimmunity. So if anybody has autoimmune disease, that's a great book to read. And Dr. Josh Axe, I like a lot too. And the Eat Dirt talks really about gut health. There's so many people, Dr. Alejandro Dr. Younger, and he's great. And he's all about detoxing as well. There's so many books that I would recommend. There's just, any kind of functional medicine books are really, really great.
Yeah, those are a great 3 to 4 that you listed. Those are awesome. A couple more questions, we'll wrap it up. Any rituals or hacks or practices that you do on a daily basis? Some people do gratitude journaling. Is there anything that you do on a regular basis?
I have a shake probably almost every day, a collagen shake. That is definitely my ritual. It's just a nutrient dense meal that's easy on the go, that gives me collagen, gives me good protein, gives me low carbs, and I stuff everything in there. I put my gut sweep in there. I put my gut reboot in there. I put chia seeds. I put my protein, fat, and fiber in there. It's easy. It's delicious. And I'm a big proponent of collagen. So I do that pretty much every day. I had a streak going where I was doing planks every single solitary day, but I tripped up, you know how that goes, and I broke my
Yeah.
streak. I'm going to get back on that.
Let's bring it back, Risa. You and me. Let's get it going again.
Yeah,
I like that. That's a good challenge. Okay, I have to. I was going to ask you. I was going to wrap it up, but now I have a selfish question for you. This just happened this morning. So I love smoothies too. That's like something that I usually do in the morning. It's easy to digest, like you said. My wife, I make shakes for my boys, my two young boys, and
Awesome.
my wife said, you know, you guys need real food. Smoothies aren't like your life. And I agree with her. She's right. You do need real food, but I like to give them all their, like, just some of the vitamins and micronutrients, some of the things you're not always going to get, right? It might be missing. What would you tell my wife? Because she was kind of giving me a hard time, and she was saying, like, come on, these guys need to be eating real food. Like, you can't just smoothie them to death, which I agree. But what would you say? Here, you're a high level holistic nutritionist. What would you say to someone who's like, come on, stop? Who cares about smoothies?
Right. So if you can find a better, more nutrient dense meal than what you put into those smoothies, then do it. But the thing is, I can't really find, I mean, I can do eggs with veggies, with avocado on the side. Great. I've got a lot of dishes going. I've got, 20 minutes in there. And I can eat that and pretty much get almost the same, maybe not as much fiber, but you can get some good nutrient dense food in there. But if you're autoimmune or something like that, you can't really have those eggs. But for the boys, we're focusing on protein, fat, and fiber. That's what's going to make them grow, right?
Yeah.
So and thrive. So whatever way you can get protein, fat, and fiber in, I would say do it. Now, of course, balance it, but you can give them all that stuff in food. But it's just easy to put it in a blender. And I did it with my kids forever. They both do it now, and you can hide a bunch of stuff in there.
You can, yeah. Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff. Risa, last but not least, where can people find you? And if they want to get your book, where can they go?
Yeah, so you can find me on my website at Risa Groux Nutrition. That's RISAGROUX Nutrition. And you can find my book, FOODFRAME, there. It's also on Amazon. It's on Target. It's on Barnes & Noble. And you can also get my course, the Achieving Optimal Thyroid Wellness, on my website as well. All my products are there, my RGN Detox, and I have collagen bars that everybody loves. And on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram, it's all Risa Groux Nutrition, and Pinterest.
Beautiful. Awesome stuff. Risa Groux, thanks for being on the show. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Thanks for having me. This was great. I love your energy.
Thank you.